So this is an explanation I found on a professional education site explaining why 2 to the 0 is 1. Right? So 2 to the 0 is 1. But why? Okay, so what he's saying here, I'm just assuming a gender. It doesn't fucking matter. No idea who this person is. I'm just using that word because I'm used speaking English. This person is saying 2 to the 0 is 1 because 2 to the first is 2, and dropping 1 power divides by 2. Okay, so this is a new rule, right? So we have 2 to the third is 3 copies of 2 multiplied together, which means 2 is multiplied by itself 3 times. So 2 to the 0 is 1 because a dropping 1 power divides by 2. And I put these all together because they're actually, so these are paraphrases of what I had previously shown. These are all from the same education site, so it's fair to put them all together like this. This is actually a subsequent video explaining exponents, allegedly. It was a video explaining fractional exponents, but the commentary doesn't actually talk about the problems with fractional exponents. It just talks about, wait, what the fuck is happening with a 0 exponent? Because fractional exponents are even a different thing entirely. Because let's say we have 2 to the 2/3. What in the fuck does that mean? So does that mean we have 2 multiplied by itself 2/3 of a time? What does that mean? You might note 2/3 is less than 1, right? Does it mean we have 2/3 of a copy of 2 multiplied together? What does that mean? Does it mean that 2 to the 2/3 equals I don't know. I don't know how to use any of these rules to do a fractional exponent. Right? You see the problem here? The way that it's being explained doesn't explain anything. This is not explanation. None of what has happened is an explanation of fucking anything. And really, all that's happened is I've been told that 2 to the 0 is 1. It hasn't been explained. It's just been declared. Right? And notice over here we get 2 to the -1, right? 0 minus 1 being -1, right? It's just declared that it's 1/2, right? Because we're dividing the 1 by 2. And while numerically correct, this doesn't actually explain how exponents work. At least the thing that I say, which is incomplete, and I absolutely acknowledge this, but when I say, a to the b, means we take 1 and multiply it by a b times. That at least explains, actually all of these. Sort of. So it explains 2 to the 0, because what we're doing is we're taking 1 and then we multiply that by 2 no times. It explains 2 cubed because we take 1 and then we multiply by 2 3 times. It explains negative exponents, so 2 to the negative 3. We take 1 and we multiply it by 2, or we multiply it by 2 negative 3 times. And a negative multiplication is a division. So boom, 2, 3, right? And so what if we have a fractional exponent? Okay, so say we've got 2 to the 1/2. And note this is different than the other wording, right? Where we had 2 to the third is like 3 copies of 2 multiplied together, or 3 2's multiplied together. My wording is different, right? I'm not saying that I have a half of a 2. I'm saying we take 1 and we multiply it by a half of a time. Okay? So what this is going to be is it's going to be this. Well, it's going to be this. Hang on. There we go. Where 1 times n twice equals 2. Okay, so what I did here is I multiplied by 2 1/2 of a time. I found a way to express that like this. Okay, so I'm able to my explanation handles 0 exponents, positive exponents, negative exponents, and fractional exponents completely with one sentence, with one simple sentence, that a to the b means we take 1, multiply it by a b times. That one sentence explains more than all of this other bullshit that people say. And you have to have lesson after lesson after lesson, adding on new parts, clarifying bullshit that you fucked up the explanation for previously because you're, I don't know, you don't speak English. I don't know what the problem is really, because this is obviously not how this works. These words don't go together in a way that explains what's really happening. What the fuck? Anyway, this simple little sentence, I have used this to literally, I swear to God, right? I have used this sentence in 5 minutes, saying this sentence 2 or 3 times to a student who couldn't understand fucking anything about how this shit worked. He was able to pass and get his GED. He was able to pass the math portion of his GED, successfully get his GED, when previously, he was failing miserably, right? And almost entirely because of this sentence. right? There's a couple other things I showed him, but this alone might have actually helped him pass, because his grade came up a lot, right? That time he took it, and that actually allowed him to go home and get out of juvie. He was actually being held because the judge said, "No, you need to show me academic improvement." So basically, he needed to get his GED in order to go home. That allowed him to do that. Using the books didn't work. Talking to other teachers didn't work. Talking to other tutors didn't work. Talking to me saying this to him. "5 minutes of talking to me. I told him this." Suddenly he's able to fucking do it. Because guess what? That explains how this all works. These things don't explain anything. And they contradict each other. And also, just why? These are just, okay, just believe this. Just trust me, because I'm the teacher. Just do this. And then it doesn't even work. So why would you trust the teacher? What the fuck? No. This one sentence works way the hell better, way more accurate, way more correct than all of those other sentences. And I can say it to you, and you'll understand what it means very, very quickly. And it works in pretty much all of the cases. Even in the complex ones, I don't think there's anything wrong about it. There's just, I'm not sure that it's complete. I'm pretty sure it's not quite complete. Because, say we're looking at something like this. I haven't actually thought this through, so this may kind of backfire, and we may find out that it actually does just kind of work. So say we've got this, right? What does that mean? That means we have 1 times something well, how about we just do it this way? 1 times 16 times n, where n is the 4th root of 16. I suppose this does work. I mean, so 2 should work for that. But also -2 should work for that. See, the trick is finding all of the solutions to it. That's the missing component. So it's not that this is wrong, I think. It's just that it's not complete. Whereas these ones are actually just wrong. Like, this statement here is true, but that's not actually why 2 to the 0 is 1. That's not the real reason. It's an explanation that 2 to the 0 is 1. It's not an explanation why 2 to the 0 is 1. 2 to the 0 is 1 because your starting point for taking an exponent is 1. It always starts at 1. And when you go 2 to the 0, or anything to the 0, the only thing that happens is you get to the starting point, and then you're done. So anything to the 0 is 1. Right? So notably, this logic tells us nothing about 0 to the 0. Okay? Right? So 0 to the first power, that's 0. But if we divide that by 0, well, now we have a problem. You can't evaluate that. So this sentence up here, this doesn't actually explain anything. That's what I'm saying. Like, it sort of describes it when when your base plays nicely with things, like 2, we can do this with 2, but it doesn't work with 0 to the 0 at all. So it's not an explanation. It's not the reason that 2 to the 0 is 1. Because 0 to the 0 is also 1. It's the only value that it can actually have that makes sense. And if we do things my way, it's just defined as 1. So, problem solved. But, I mean, even experimentally, you go around, you fuck around with mathematics, and you try to make 0 to the 0 anything but 1, and it just doesn't work. A value of 1 for 0 to the 0 is the only value that makes sense. It's the only value that works. It's the only value that does anything. And guess what? If we properly define exponentiation, it's gonna be 1. Because this is a proper definition of exponentiation, I think, except perhaps there is something missing here. Or there's just something else missing in the sense of what the objects of mathematics are. I feel like there's a hole here that I need to fill. I need to explain why, in a more coherent way, why that n can be negative I. Well, it would be 2 times negative I, or 2 times positive I, or positive 2, or negative 2. It can be any of those 4. And it turns out if we put that in there, then we get the correct value, which is lovely. But there's something missing there. And honestly, even how do we find the square root of 2 for this? Like, there's still a piece to this that's missing. Like, how do I determine what n is? This doesn't really give me the means to do that. But, like, you see the difference between my approach to what I'm saying and their approach here? They say nothing. This is vacuous, and proclaim that is God's testament to how everything works. Like, this is gospel. Meanwhile, I have a sentence here, a very elegant, simple sentence, just a few words, that completely encapsulates how exponents truly work, and I'm questioning it. I'm coming at it like, I feel like there's something missing here still, and it's already massively, massively better at explaining anything than all of this crap is. And these guys are paid to do this. I mean, I'm also paid to do this, but these guys are paid more by more people to do this, and they can't fucking figure it out. This should cause people to be upset. The problem that is occurring here should be disturbing to you. This is not okay.